Hello friends, welcome to Shailus indoor garden videos. Today's video is about these beautiful banana plants. I have 4 pots, condensing them to 2 pots. I will be transplanting the tiny babies to the mother plant, and the rest of the 2 big plants will go into 1 pot. This is the baby plant. There was also one more tiny one, got lost here. I will find that out eventually. The one in the green pot, and this one here will go in 1 pot. This one here is the mother plant. I had it for a few years now. It keeps giving babies. It had leaves that were wide, like 3/4 of the leaf has been cut off. It was this long. It will have enough energy to keep the whole plant alive. If I have a lot of leaves and that are like 2.5 feet long each leaf, the plant will not have enough energy to support all of them. So either it will get weak or it will die. So by doing this, I do this every winter season. I'll bring the plants inside, let them adjust to the temperature inside, and cut off the leaves. I'll leave the new leaves that are growing indoors. I'll let them grow, but I just cut off the older leaves. So we will be putting these 4 plants into 2 pots. So I'm going to transplant. This was the size of the mother plant when I bought it online. It had 3 leaves on top other than this one here. So it was about 4-inch plant, including from the roots to the top of the plant was 4 inches, then 4 to 6 inches. It had 3 leaves. Compared to the size of this plant here, it was that size with 3 leaves that tall and this wide. So that's how big this plant was, and now it is so big. So here is the plant that I took out from one of the pots earlier. I'll just loosen up all around. I'm going to do that with that green pot too. I'm going to put both plants in that 1 pot. Instead of 4, I'll have 2 now. So once I loosen up all this extra soil, I'm going to pull this out of the planter. Just lay it down and tap it all around the pot. It just loosens up the walls. That way it will be easy to pull the plant out. So here I pulled out the plant. I'm going to loosen up the soil on this one also. Here is the baby. It's called the puppy. So it has 2 puppies in this plant. I'll make sure I will not hurt or damage the puppies while I'm trying to repot this. So I'll have to cut down some of the roots on one side, the inner side that I'm going to put it. Say on this one it's the left side, and the other plant it will be the right side. So that's the left to this, the right to this. That's where I will put the second plant. So here, so cut into the right for this, and then cut onto the left side onto this. So that's how far they'll sit in the pot. Looks crowded, but it's okay. It will still be fine. I do this every year. So I'll add a handful of bone meal that will encourage the roots to grow. That's the food for the roots. I'll add some soil and then just spread the bone meal so that it's not sitting in one spot. That way all the roots will get the additional food. Fill up everything with soil. Make sure I fill up all the gaps. Try to tuck it in as much as I can. Now it's very tight roots in there, so you'll have to make sure the soil gets through. So what I do is I shake and tap it up and down. I will use the garden tool to make sure there are no gaps. So this looks like very tight in there. There's no gaps in there. just tuck everything, like tuck all the soil back so that it's not loose. So I'm going to repot these two babies in this with the mother plant here. I don't need to pull out anything, just make some room in there and put this over here, and then put this little tiny baby over here. So now from 4 pots I have just 2 to take care of. I have two plants in here, and I have 2 plants, say 1.5, then a tiny baby down there, and there was a baby growing in there, 2 actually, and in here there are 3, so I'll have 5 new plants by summer. Mine sits in a sunroom. It's not sunroom actually, there's just one south side window here and the east side patio door on the side, but some days it's bright like this, some days there's no light at all. I use fluorescent light up here for some plants, and then I have the room light here, that's all. So for the potting mix, let me start watering, then I can talk along with that about the potting mix. So I usually use watering jug to water the plants, but because I repotted them, I'm watering it for the first time. I want all the soil to get wet, and also watering thoroughly will also help the soil settle down between the roots. So this is how I water. I make sure all the soil gets soaked with water, and I'll wait until I see the water draining from the drainage holes, and also I'll wait to see all the air bubbles are filled up with water. There are no more air bubbles. That's when I will stop watering. So you always want to have a lip in the pot, like you see here. If there is a lip with the gap between the soil and the top of the pot, then it will be easy to water. You can just water it faster and leave the water sitting in there. Whereas if the soil is way up to the top of the pot, then you will have to keep watering little by little. So I prefer this method with the lip in here. It's always easy to water. For the potting mix, I use 50% garden soil, 30% cow manure, 10% earthworm castings, and 10% either perlite or sand. In this, I used perlite. So here you see the bubbles. It sounds really cool, especially when you just start watering. Talking about pests on this plant, you will see white flies, mealybugs, and a black fungus that specifically grows on these banana plants is called the sigatoka. When you see that, all you can do is to chop off the plant from 4 to 6 inches above the soil. Just chop it off about here, and the plant will still grow back, but then you will have to keenly observe it to control this nasty fungus, which will eventually kill the plant. In order to control these pests, I use a solution made out of 1 teaspoon of neem oil, 1 teaspoon of hydrogen peroxide with 5% alcohol in it, half a teaspoon of dishwashing detergent, and 1 cup of water. Mix all this together and spray it all over the plant from top to bottom and even on top of the soil. This is how I control the pests. And once all the water drains out, I'm going to put it back in its own saucer and then put it back right next there. So that's it, friends. That's where it will sit for all the rest of the winter season, for 5 months from now, or 6 months sometimes. When I start using the fireplace behind it, I will move them closer to me, like about 3 to 5 feet. They will move inside the house, just so that they won't get that direct heat from the heater. But other than that, that's what the video is all about: transplanting and winterizing, I should say. Thanks again. Thanks for visiting Shailus Garden. Please do comment, share, and subscribe. Have a nice day. Bye.